Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. All members are present. Approval of the agenda. We have 6A and 6B are being taken off. Janelle Kendall and Keith Yap. And 7C, approved summer rec agreement is taken off. And 7G, approved plans and specs, final hangar design, and authorized bids is being added. Is there anything else? Vicki, have anything?
No.
Okay, council?
Well, you have the updated claims.
Yes, I got the updated claims. That's right. Consent, schedule of claims is, that total has changed. So I've got that. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with those changes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes, March 19th, 2025, regular meeting. You all received them in your packet. Is there any changes or clarification needed for within those minutes? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the March 19th minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. This now brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone that would like to speak to the council? Call a third time. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the council? Our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. We'll move on to reports and presentations. 6C, Park Board report. Vicki?
So the Park Board met in regular session last night, Tuesday, April 1st. We had the Public Works report, and they discussed the progress on the camper cabins. Our 2025 trail project is bid opening on 4/10, so you'll have that at the next council meeting. We started discussion on the proposed 2026 trail, which is the one along the campground and then out to Hickman across Hoboken Creek. They heard a request for the summer rec contribution for the school. They're recommending approval of the Lark Banner project, and also they are recommending campground rental rates for 26. That'll be on your next agenda. The reason that we have to do that prior to December is because we start making reservations May 1st for May 1st of 26. So the only action item you have tonight from the Park Board is 7D, which is the banners.
Okay. Any questions on the Park Board? Then we'll move on to EDA report.
The EDA met today in regular session. We talked about, we had the update on the Info Center Quick Trip project. We're still hoping that they'll move it up into this year. Well, that remains to be seen. We discussed the road accesses to Tractor Supply. They have that drive by the bank. And then also the city has platted right away a little ways further down. And we're just discussing what might be the best access for that and if we should have some participation in that. And then also they had the EDA financials for 2024 for their operating projects and grants and TIF funds. We have no recommendations tonight from the EDA.
Questions, comments? Okay, we'll move on to action items. 7A, approve request for removal of parking restrictions, 4th Street North.
So Kira of Sauk Center, the nursing home, they've requested that the city remove the parking restriction along the south side of the building along 4th Street North. The restriction first went into place when the adjacent door was the main entrance to the nursing home and the parking was restricted in front of the door. Then following that, the owner across the street requested that no parking be extended further to the east so that there's no cars across from his house. that he maintained that it inhibited his ability to back onto the street or to back his camper into his driveway. But with the recent construction and remodeling of the nursing home and the new street, the parking restriction is no longer necessary for Cura's operations. They have their main door out front now. And the driveway was also widened during the project for the property owner across the street. Was deemed that their request is that we remove that restriction. We would keep the parking on one side of the street only, that would remain. The street width is a standard 32-inch or 32-foot, and if you show on the overlay I gave you, that's 110 feet between the cars, so the 110 feet there, that's restricted to parking. So the request of Cura of Sauk Center is to remove the parking restriction as requested along 4th Street North, adjacent to the nursing home.
Questions?
Was there any feedback from the homeowner across the street?
I have not talked to him.
Okay.
At one time, he had a narrower driveway and a bigger camper, and so he wanted to have that wider space. I don't know, I think Chief Jensen has probably had some conversations with him about different things up there in parking in the past. But no, I have not talked to him about this proposal.
And there's not a need to do that, you don't feel? Just curious. Is there any reason we'd want to?
The situation that we're running into is we're having all kinds of people and businesses wanting to restrict parking in certain areas to make it more convenient for them.
Yeah.
And this actually kind of sets a bad precedent, to be honest with you. So
Okay.
I can certainly reach out to him if you want to delay it. I'm probably certain he may not like it because it won't be as convenient. I can't say for sure, though. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years.
Are they using that entrance at all then?
The employees use it to come and go.
Okay. So basically employee parking along there.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
That's what, that was gonna be my inquiry too, if that was more for employee purposes or why they wanted that restriction removed, but that makes sense.
Okay. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to approve removal of the parking restriction.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Joe will second. Any other discussion or last minute items?
I'm just gonna plan to abstain. My daughter's an employee.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carries 4 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. 7B, approve agreement with interim city attorney.
So as you know, that our city attorney is backing away from representation, and so we've been having conversations with the city attorney for Fergus Falls. That's Nickmo and Ellick is the name of their firm, regarding the prosecution of nuisance complaints, in addition to potentially developing a long-term relationship with the city. What we're talking about right now is simply having somebody interim take over the nuisance complaint enforcement, and then we will have a later discussion about long-term. Nick Adams, our city attorney, has had conversations with the firm as well. I've talked to 2 of their attorneys, one of them 3 different times, about what this relationship would look like. And so before we can actually use them, I would need a motion or a resolution. Actually, I would probably put it into entering into agreement with Nicklemore and Ellig for legal representation for prosecution of zoning and nuisance violations. Their rate, they have said their rate would be $225 an hour, which is probably reasonable for what the city attorneys are generally charging at this time. The attorneys that represent cities that are down in the metro area, which are most of the ones that are picking up these small cities, are in the $500 to $600 an hour range. So, I mean, this is an opportunity for us to hit the ground running on these nuisance violations and keep them moving toward the court process. And then on the other side, we can be talking about a long-term relationship, or maybe this is like a test to see how our relationship works, and then maybe we want to enter into a long-term relationship, and then, so I'm bringing it in front of you to get permission to get that first step done. Let's get moving on these nuisance violation prosecutions, and then we'll have the bigger conversation about a long-term city attorney.
Okay. Questions or concerns?
What's the timeline that we're looking at or the time frame for this agreement? How long are we
how long would we enter into it?
Yeah.
I think we would put that in there, that it would be in force until canceled by either party with 60 days' notice, something to
Okay.
that effect. Because if we enter into it long-term with them, of course, we would amend it. If we're going to go a different direction, then we'd give them notice. Because it's hard to say how long it would take, especially if we have them doing prosecutions for nuisance violations. Sometimes that can drag out sometime.
I think one of the things is we need to have the agreement in place because we don't want these nuisance properties that we've got working on fall by the wayside. And a pure fact that, even by the time we go out for RFPs and try to go out that route and find somebody, it's gonna be a period of time by the time you sort through everything and interview and then find out and have sticker shock on some of them when you see the actual price of what they're charging. So I think this here's the best thing to do for right now until we get to that point where we wanna go.
So are you looking for a motion on the agreement or a resolution? Just
I
curious how you
just
want it.
approve entering into the agreement.
Okay,
Yeah. So do I have a motion to approve entering into an agreement?
also moved.
Okay, Brad, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Heidi is a second. Last minute discussion, comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7D, approved banner installation.
So Andrea Kerfeld, on behalf of LARC, which is a women's group that meets, has presented a proposal to contribute $500 toward the replacement of banners on the downtown streetlights. The banners are on alternate poles of the flower baskets. They were to be installed when the flowers go up, which is approximately Memorial Day. She did present a design. I think the Herald actually helped with that. And the total cost is $782.44 for 18 banners. So they would contribute $500 of that. So we would have the $282 contribution. The park board reviewed the proposal last night. They are recommending that they move forward, and rather than picking a specific design, they said if it's no additional cost, they would divide it up 3 ways. So these are back-to-back banners, so we'd have 3 different designs, and they would be on 18 poles in the downtown area. And the poles right now have banners on them. They've just faded really bad. Remember the little boy-girl ones?
Yeah.
And so this is just a little bit different, just to brighten it up a little bit. And so the park board has recommended that we proceed with that proposal.
Comments?
I just have one question on how this differs or what this looks like with the proposed senior banners that are going up.
So the senior banners are going up, and they're coming down for graduation, which is like the 23rd.
So they're only going to be up for like 3 weeks.
And then these will go up.
Okay.
They'll go up when we get them, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. I suppose, yeah, they haven't. Okay.
Okay. Any other comments, discussion? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to approve the banner project.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second? Chair will second it. Last minute discussion, concerns? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7E, Arbor Day proclamation.
So this year, Arbor Day 2025 falls on Friday, April 25th. And as part of our Tree City initiative and to maintain our Tree City status, the mayor shall annually proclaim said date as Arbor Day and encourage residents to celebrate Arbor Day to protect trees and woodlands. And we also plant a tree on that date. And I do have the proclamation from the Tree City USA program in the packet. And the action that is requested is to proclaim April 25th as Arbor Day in Sauk Center.
Questions or concerns?
How many years have we been doing that? It's been a long
It's only
time, hasn't it?
Long
No, it's
time.
20, well, Nikki's not here. I would have to
20.
ask her. No, I think it's more like 25 years.
I was
now.
gonna say at least 25, if not more.
I meant to get that information, and
It's
I
all right.
neglected.
Any other questions, concerns? Otherwise, do we have a motion to proclaim April 25th as Arbor Day?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7F, request for children at play sign.
The property owner at 525 Grove Lake Street, and I do have the aerial there, she's the one with the long driveway on the angle road there. She's requested a children at play sign be placed near her residence. She stated there are often fast-moving vehicles on Grove Lake that do not slow down when they're going from Getty to Grove Lake to Fifth. She's tried signs that you place at the edge of the street, you know, the little green guy. She goes, they just get run over. She said there's 15 children under the age of 18 in that one block area. She's also states that many times vehicles not stop at the signs on Fifth or Oak or Grove Lake, and I did put those stop signs on your map. The city has in the past considered changing the through roads so that they have to stop when they're going onto Fifth Street. We did not pass that at that time. Residents stated this has become worse when people are looking at the Freedom Rock and they're not paying attention. So I don't know if that's true or not. This is information that I'm getting from her. And so what she's asking is if we would please consider putting up a children at play sign.
Comments?
Well, once the rock gets painted, there's gonna be a lot of people looking at it. It's gonna be even worse then. Right now, it's just a rock.
Should make it a roundabout. Put it in the middle.
Just saying, I mean, if that's the problem, but
Well, my fear is that it's still gonna be ignored. It's just a change of the process of that area, so it's not, people are used to doing what they're doing. Unless there's somebody sitting there and enforcing it. I don't know if it'll really, I mean, that's probably not in the plans, I imagine.
have you, Joey, have you guys noticed, I mean, from your perspective?
They called, made some dreaded complaints last year. We worked the area. The tricky part of that is a lot of the traffic she talked was coming off of Main or Fifth there, and they're shooting up Getty. So they're not going over the posted speed limit, but when you're sitting there, yeah, it does seem fast to come around that curve. So you can go around the curve at 20 to 30 miles an hour, that seems real fast.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily, are they driving at a safe speed for when you hit Joe? Probably not. But it's tough for us to enforce because they're within the speed limit too. They're not driving reckless, but in my opinion, are they driving too fast for that area? Probably, it's not safe, but nothing that we really can enforce on the legal side. That makes sense. Like, they're
Yeah.
driving 30 miles an hour is fast in residential area, but that isn't supposed to be speed.
And the kids at play doesn't change the speed limit.
No, it doesn't. So, I mean, if we wanted to really make an impact, some different signs that either yield or stop somewhere in that area would slow it down. Yeah, the sign will bring attention to some people, yeah. Does it make a huge difference in my opinion? Like, a lot of it's local traffic already, they already know there's kids there.
Right.
Okay.
Interesting.
So,
The one thing that I wanted to add is they just changed the state statute to give the city some authority to reduce their speed limit to 20 on these local roads without having to have a speed study done by the state. That might be something we want to consider because if we get that in our code, giving you the authority to do that, then you can by resolution designate certain areas that meet criteria to be a 20-mile-per-hour road. I mean, I can bring that information forward too. I mean, that takes some time. That doesn't satisfy her immediate concern with spring coming right around the corner.
so Joe, you see the bigger issue as they come off Main, go on to Fifth, and then take that corner heading southwest?
So the biggest issue in that area is, yeah, it's the north and south traffic on Getty. These people are coming down Getty to curve on, get on the Fifth, they've got a Main Street there. So the fastest traffic is coming north and south from Getty. People are coming off Main Street, hitting the gas, and then if they're coming northbound on Getty, they're already doing 30 miles an hour, they're going on that curve. In my opinion, if we truly want to make an impact, stop sign at Getty and 6 would make the most sense. If you wanted to truly slow down traffic a little bit for that stretch of block neighborhood there, if you put a stop sign on Getty Street somewhere, that would slow it down. So it's not popular, the public safety is the chief, but I'm always about stop signs and slowing cars down. It's not convenient. Get that.
What about if we're at Fifth or Grove Lake and Getty, right at that corner?
So you
Stop
can-
sign there,
stop
right there.
sign, you wanna stop
I mean, I know you got one in the other spot there too. On Grove Lake where they stop halfway through.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's two right there to probably be, not make a lot of sense.
Grove Lake and Fifth would slow the traffic down. It's still be going fast. It's still be going fast if they're coming southbound. I think one of the bigger issues is they're coming off Fifth. So when they're coming off Fifth off of Main, they're just a gas car, they're hitting that gas.
And they take that corner, Flab Grove Lake, all the way up.
Left So I mean, that's where, in my opinion, 'cause we took some complaints from last year and work traffic there. We stopped a handful, more of just like, hey, slow down, just kids, but we didn't write the tickets because there's not enough speed for them to crack it to get over 30. But they are moving, like I get it. A lot of people take that to bypass Main Street. So, I mean, a child at play sign isn't a terrible idea, but I just don't see that it's gonna make a huge effect. I mean, people are still gonna hit that gas, but it doesn't hurt either, in the same sense. If we were worried about this slowing down, yeah, I'd have to say we'd have to get some sort of stop sign somewhere even to make sense.
So like I drive that area every morning and afternoon with the bus. And most of the traffic that I see that might be going any speed at all, especially in the wintertime, is coming off of Main Street and heading up to the arena. And then that pedal is buried. And they're having a lot of fun doing it. But I've also come around that corner heading back toward Fifth Street, and there'll be 6 kids playing in the street and not an adult around. Well, it's like, okay, who's at fault here? We put the signs up so, to me, it's a two-way street as far, and no pun intended, that these people have to watch their kids. They got pretty decent sized yards. There's no need to be playing on the sidewalk next to the curb.
I guess my question is, we ain't really hurting anything by putting it up. We're trying to be accommodating. What's the cost of a sign? I mean, we would put
The sign
it
in the
up.
post would probably be 125.
Piece.
But we can hurt something with a sign up, and if it doesn't change nothing, then maybe in the future we can look at some different stuff.
Reducing the speed.
I guess you make an attempt, and if it doesn't work, then you have to take it to another level. I don't
Yeah.
know how else, that's my opinion, but.
I mean, would we be better off moving this stop sign off of Fifth Street where it's straight and put it at the end of Grove Lake, coming onto Fifth? I mean, start slowing down to go to that stop sign.
It'll slow down the northbound, but it won't slow
Yeah.
down the southbound is the only bad thing, yeah.
Well, right now, you're not slowing down either of them.
Yeah.
Half of it.
No,
And there's
it would
al-
help with that.
There's already a stop sign on Grove Lake heading north at Getty and Grove
Yeah.
Lake. There's already a stop sign at that spot on that triangle.
Or we take that and move that over to Getty and.
But that one needs to be there because basically, Getty always used to be the bypass for the
Yep.
71 when they couldn't get underneath the bridge. And that's just where the constant flow just kept going. So,
I mean, yeah, I'd like to help them in a way to slow traffic down and do something. I mean, unfortunately, I think child at play sign is probably gonna be just ignored and people are still gonna
not
drive
any
that
more than
fast.
little green man sitting on the curb. If they're running
Exactly.
that over, they ain't gonna see a 6-foot sign.
Well, it's harder to run over one of those staked in the ground than there is a plastic fence. And if it's something, or a plastic sign, if it's something that we can do, like Brad said, to at least, accommodate, see if it works. If it doesn't, then escalate it a little to a stop.
One thing too, what we'll do is we got our portable speed sign that I'm gonna bring back out once the weather straightens out. And I'll have Ben, we'll work on somewhere, we'll get that out there for a while too, maybe just,
Yeah.
deter a little bit. It's not something we'll do too. I'll find a spot for that. That's the one we can all over the place.
Yeah.
I'll make sure we get that next week or two.
Nice.
Just wait for the weather, to put that back out.
Right.
That's something too, to think, we can do that too.
Okay. Well, what's council's wishes?
I think for nominal fee or cost at this point to show an effort and help, if we can, God forbid there would anything happen by not doing something, this at least shows that we've listened and we're trying to help. So I think putting in a sign, children at play sign, would be my motion at this point.
So we have a motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Brad. Any other discussion?
What about placement?
Are we going to go placement?
Which way is worse, coming south or going north? Probably coming off of Fifth Street going south?
We'll probably put one each direction in this situation because traffic is quite going fast each way. So,
Do I need to make that statement to have two signs, one in each direction as part of my motion? Okay. Then I will change that motion or update that motion to that.
and I think that between Ben and Joe, they would probably select the optimum location.
And I'll also second her amendment or change.
Okay, we have a change to the motion, one from Heidi and Brad did his second for that change. I just not sure it's gonna work. And I ain't totally on board with this, not that any kid is, you know, I don't wanna see any children hurt,
I think reduce.
but I just got a feeling that there's, you know, next meeting, we could have 3 more places in town with the same request because, well, you did it for them, and we're spending $400 now for one person to complain.
I think with the valid, just like we do with variances, if you have like a reasonable cause and you have background proof evidence to show there is reason to put it there, 15 kids on one street, to me, sounds like evidence to put something there. We've done it for Riverview Circle a few years ago up by, I think Wessels had nominated, or had requested that up in that area. Because they had the same number, there was like 23 kids within 2 blocks that it proved its value. That's just my opinion.
My thought is that it's given us a path of, if this doesn't seem to impact it, we know, I mean, the next steps has to be some type of a, yield, stop, something, but at least, I guess we don't know if we don't try it, and I don't disagree with you, Warren, that it's probably, we could have multiple ones come up, but I think I agree with Heidi, they're kind of case by case, you have to look at each situation, so. But yeah.
And, it may not be impactful, but we're showing we're gonna do something to try to make a difference to slow it down. I mean, again, the alternative is we start throwing stop signs or something up there and say, well, we're gonna really slow you down and impede it, and I mean, the driver's gonna have to deal with it or what it is, but here's step one and see where we go.
All right, well, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries 4 in favor, 1 against. 7G, approve plans and specs, final hangar design, and authorize bids.
So at the airport board meeting, it wasn't April 16th, it was March 16th. The board made its final recommendations on the proposed box hangar project. The recommendations were incorporated into the plans and specs for the project and are presented for final approval. The project is to construct an 80 by 90 box hangar with bid alternates. Those alternates include the reduction in size to an 80 by 80, the addition of in-floor heat, and a decrease for the installation of a 60-foot door versus a 65. So we had our optimum hangar, but then we have a couple options that we may make some changes. The project is to be funded with federal, state, and local dollars. The 2025 projects, the federal share is 95%, the state is 2.5%, and the city's local share is 2.5%. The city has funds in for the local share in the airport fund. The total cost of this with engineering and construction all in is $1.2 million. And I did give you the site plan to show where it's going to be. The green square at the airport is actually where it's going to be. And there's some other costs as well that we are doing. We have to move the AWAS, which is the Automated Weather Observation Station, and some other grading expenses, but those grading is going to be taken care of by our city staff, so they'll already be included. So what we're looking to is approve resolution 2025-25, approving the plans and specs for the box hangar project to authorize the bids. And then once the bids come in, then we'll make that final determination if we're going to go forward with the project.
Comments? Questions? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2025-25?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Unfinished business, rental code modifications.
So the policy committee met today with the inspector for the rental at 8:30 this morning, and we looked at the rental code and then had discussion with him on the barriers that he's seen to enforcement of the code. There's some minor changes that we'll be making. Most of it has to do with when people do apply, and then he shows up, and then they're either not there, or they're not done, or they haven't gone through it ahead themselves, and so there's multiple visits to go back to try to get compliance. And so we're making some changes included in the letter that they get, tell them what their responsibilities are pre-construction, the checklist, so they have a better idea of what we're gonna be looking at, and then also we'll be proposing one code amendment regarding like a daily fee if you don't comply by a certain date. So that'll be coming from in a future meeting for you to approve that. In the interim, we're changing the letter and getting those pieces in place. So you'll have something at an upcoming meeting to do those amendments to the ordinance on the rental code.
Questions about that? Okay, city attorney RFP.
So this relates back to the city attorney that we have the interim agreement with for the nuisance complaint prosecution. I've reached out to other resources in search of a city attorney, including other cities, League of Minnesota Cities. I don't know if you want to go through the formal RFP process now, if we want to wait and see how this other attorney is working out, because Nick Adams will continue to provide us general counsel until we get something in place. So we're not going to be left high and dry without an attorney. So I don't know if you want to pause the RFP for now until we work with the other attorney for a while first, or if you want to go through the process now and let them be an applicant for it if they wish.
I think, like I mentioned before, for me anyway, I think that we can put that RFP process to rest for a little while until we know how good this one's gonna work, and if he even wants to keep working with us once he finds out all what we're handing him.
In that case, with the 60-day process, would that allow enough time for a formal RFP process? Like if they gave us a 60-day notice and said, sorry,
Oh, you mean if they gave us a 60-day notice and then we had to find somebody? It's kind of hard to find one in that time frame, but in my experience, when attorneys are leaving or they don't want to renew, they're pretty good about working with you.
Okay.
It's not like a cut and dried.
So
Do we remove it or table it? Just curious what you want to do.
we should be able to, I don't know, everybody kind of general consents that we're just gonna wait on the RFP, or do you want to make a motion, or how does the council want to handle it?
I mean, I guess if everyone's in agreement with general consent, that'd be fine. I mean, to see how this relationship goes, if we want to pursue it, or if we need to go out and
It's only
entertain
when
other options.
The only action I would think that we'd need to do is if we're going to go out for an RFP, then we'd need a motion to
yeah.
authorize it, but for right now, I don't think we need one.
Does that outfit in Fergus provide general counsel too? Is it just more nuisance?
They
and-
do,
They do, okay, so it's something that we could,
but they were just a little concerned at the distance, you know.
an hour, that's,
Yeah, and one of the things I think they had mentioned too is how many cases they end up in St. Cloud with, so then they're 2 hours away.
yeah, that's
So,
true.
but, most of our stuff, the county attorney takes care of anything that's criminal,
Criminal.
so
Oh.
it's just general counsel stuff.
But they would be a lot
And
of
nuisance,
court,
that-
yeah.
right, so there shouldn't be a whole lot, but,
Okay.
so, any other comments? Okay, then we'll move on to upcoming bid openings.
Just to remind you, we have the bid opening for the 2025 trail project, that's April 10th at 11. And for the 2025 full depth reclamation project is May 1st at 11. You're certainly welcome to come to those bid openings. For these smaller projects, usually we maybe get 1 or 2 contractors might come, the rest of them will just drop it off. But it's interesting to kind of see what they're doing. So I'm just letting you know remind you that those are the dates for those, and of course, then they'll come to the council after.
Questions on that? Okay, we have no new business. Consent agenda, that has changed. Schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $162,469 for a total of the same. The two changes were on the schedule of claims, an addition of $1,000 for the Sauk Center fire relief for the state retiree aid, and then the materials to Midwest Lock and Door from $39,644.90. That's the two changes to bring us to that total. We have resolution number 2025-24, accepting contributions of $151.02 from the men's card playing group to be allocated to the senior center. $7,500 from Community Connection of Sauk Center to be allocated to the ambulance department. $100 from Roman and Mary Kulzer to be allocated to the police department. And on behalf of the council and the rest of the city, I want to thank those people for their contributions. We also have gambling application for exempt permit request from the Knights of Columbus Council 4863 for bingo and a raffle on August 6th through 10th, 2025 at Stearns County Fairgrounds. Is there any questions or concerns about the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
One second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Informational items.
A couple things, it's Severe Weather Awareness Week next week, April 7th to 11th. Monday is weather alerts and warnings, Tuesday is severe storms, Wednesday is floods and flash, Thursday is the statewide tornado drill day. Our sirens will be going off at 1:45 and 6:45 on Thursday the 10th. So it kind of catches people off guard when it's not that first Wednesday. And then Friday, there's heat waves. Also, the local board of review is Monday, April 7th at 2025 at 1 o'clock. That's here, so I hope I have to have a quorum of you in attendance for that. You do have your Spectrum Channel lineup change letter. And then the other thing is the pre-con meeting for the Birch and Pine project is Monday at 10 o'clock here at City Hall, and that's where the contractor will come in with his subs and the utilities, and everybody will come, and we'll be working forward with the schedule. I sent out to all of you the newsletter that was sent out to all the residents, so we got that sent out. And then also we sent out updated preliminary assessment amounts to everybody. And so we've got that. With all the tree activity, there's been a revolving door here at City Hall, people asking questions, and so we've been helping them. Been going pretty good. So the first part of the project will be from 5th Street working south. If you saw on the map, that's kind of our phase 1. And then going south further will be phase 2, and then we'll go back up to that stuff north of 5th Street for the final phase. And that's all based on the way the sewer flows. So I'm sure you understand that. So if anybody has questions, the phone numbers are on the newsletter for the city engineer and also the engineer on site. We'll have someone on site from Stantec at all times. He's the same person that was on site for Author's Edition, so he is familiar with the city. And then, of course, they can always stop here at City Hall. So, and I did request from Keith Yap a full-size set of plans, because trying to show people on my computer just isn't working, so. But
Question?
if you have any questions on the project, I can try to answer them. Keith, of course, we excused him from coming tonight. The freeway, I guess, is kind of nasty.
Questions on either of them items? I'm going to ask, how many of you are going to be able to make it on Monday
I
at
will
1?
be
For the 1 o'clock meeting,
Yeah,
I should be able to make it.
okay, and I'll be here.
I'll be
You'll be here. I didn't know if
I won't.
then you wouldn't be. and-
It depends on if I gotta be in this well that day or not, but if I'm around, I'll definitely make it.
Okay, because I know you and I are the only 2 certified, so. But we need 3 people here for sure, so. Otherwise, if we lose it, it goes to
County.
St. Cloud and we don't get it back,
No,
so.
I will make a point to.
If there's nothing else, then I will call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.